In 2016, Tom Holland's rendition of the renowned superhero Spider-Man was released in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Holland has played the character a total of 6 times, with more films in the pipeline to keep fans of the character happy for a long time. Fans may properly analyze how the MCU's version of Spider-Man compares to his comic book counterpart now that he's been firmly established inside the huge series. While Holland's version of Spider-Man differs significantly from the comic book version, there are several aspects that he has nailed.
Hey, is this anybody's bike? No?
One of Peter Parker's most well-known superhero nicknames is the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is familiar to many Marvel Comics readers. While this multi-syllabic statement fits nicely into the character's distinctive theme song, it also represents his modus operandi in that, while he does occasionally take on large supervillains, much of his day-to-day heroic deeds revolve around assisting the small people in his area. The MCU made a point of addressing this element of Spider-Heroic Man's career, making it the core focus of Spider-Man: Homecoming, his first solo film in the franchise. After spending the whole film attempting to be more like Tony Stark, Peter discovers that, like his comic book counterpart, his finest attribute is being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and caring after the little people.
Wait a minute. You guys aren't the real Avengers.
While several Marvel heroes have been reimagined in the MCU and are now deemed quippy, Spider-Man was the first wisecracking superhero. Spider-Man's pitter-patter of quips and taunts is a characteristic feature of his crime-fighting routine. Originally developed as a tactic to throw his adversaries off their rhythm, the pitter-patter of quips and taunts has become a signature aspect of his crime-fighting routine. Unlike Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who made little effort to adapt the character's humor, and Andrew Garfield's quips bordered on bullying at times, Tom Holland's Spider-Man nails this trait, perfectly balancing his humor in a way that feels like it was ripped straight from the pages of a comic book. The Spider-Man suit is one of the most well-known superhero outfits ever seen in a comic book. Throughout the decades, his characteristic red and blue have remained mostly unchanged, and anytime the character's appearance has altered, it has been received with unanimous fury from his adoring fans. The MCU's Spider-Man has always been defined by the suit's high-tech features, which have stayed closer to the comic books in design than his prior live-action iterations. The Stark Tech Spider-Man suits were left behind at the end of Spider-Man: No Way Home after a lackluster reaction from fans, as an exceedingly authentic costume to the comics was unveiled in the last scene.
Dude, you got the suit, right? This is gonna change our lives.
The ongoing internal discord between Peter Parker's ordinary existence and his heroic alter ego is one of Spider-Man's distinguishing qualities. Peter and Spider-Man appear to be constantly at odds with one another, each vying for control of every waking minute of Peter's existence, forcing Peter to make difficult choices along the way. Because the MCU Spider-Man is so much younger than previous live-action versions, he is forced into this internal conflict far more frequently than Maguire or Garfield. As he tries to live 2 lives at once, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is seen battling with being an ordinary high school student, choosing heroism over going to parties, sacrificing his vacation for saving the world, and so on.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names.
Despite the fact that they are 2 very different heroes, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange share a fascinating comic book connection. They work together on a regular basis, generally on mind-blowing adventures like the one featured in the classic Amazing Spider-Man number 500. Despite being frustrated by some of his more infantile personality qualities, the master of the mystic arts has a soft place for the younger hero. Doctor Strange is one of Spider-Man's closest pals in the MCU, despite his aversion to admitting it. Throughout their history, the two have partnered up 3 times, with the senior hero gradually building up his tolerance with the considerably younger webslinger. This friendship was tested to the limit in Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I know, I get it, but we can't just send them home to die.
Spider-Man, like many other superheroes from the Silver Age of comic books, has a strict no-kill policy. He not only refuses to murder his villains, but he also goes to tremendous measures to ensure that no one dies while he is in charge, even if that person attempted to kill him only seconds before. Throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man follows a similar concept in his crime-fighting career, ensuring that all lives are preserved, including those of supervillains. Despite having nothing to do with their deaths in their own timelines, the whole narrative of No Way Home revolves around Spider-Man's quest to save the lives of 5 terrible villains from different universes. Not because of his superpowers, but because of the sort of guy he is underneath the mask, Spider-Man is a model of heroism. Peter Parker continually puts others before himself, acting selflessly at all times, knowing that tremendous power comes with great responsibility. By the end of No Way Home, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has proven to be just as unselfish as past versions, if not more so, despite having a somewhat privileged air surrounding him up until recently. Peter made the ultimate sacrifice by giving up everyone important to him to rescue the universe, in a conclusion that closely resembles the "one more day" scenario from the comics.
Come on, Peter. Come on, Spider-Man.
The tale, If This Be My Destiny, appears in Amazing Spider-Man number 31-33, and is widely regarded as one of the finest Spider-Man storylines of all time. During being stuck beneath debris in an undersea base swiftly filling with water after a battle with Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man overcomes his fear and failure, removing the weight off his back and lives to fight another day. In its concluding act, Spider-Man: Homecoming flawlessly recreates this scene. Peter is about to give up as he is stuck under the ruins of the Vulture's stronghold until he exclaims that he is Spider-Man and that he can still save the day. Peter pulls the weight off of his back and defeats the Vulture in a scene right out of a comic book.
Sup, penis, Parker?
It's easy to forget that underneath his mask, Spider-Man is just a teenager trying to do the right thing. Peter Parker's youth is an important character feature for the legendary superhero, who, although being involved in extremely dark situations and mature topics, is still a high school student. The Homecoming trilogy allowed fans to get a closer look at a high school Peter Parker. Previous iterations all left high school rather soon, however, Tom Holland's Peter stayed in school until his most recent appearance. This provided the filmmakers time to flesh out what it may be like to be a student with abilities, while also paying homage to the character's era. Peter Parker may be a child, but he was thrown into adulthood earlier than others. Following the untimely loss of his Uncle Ben, Peter was thrust into the dreadful realities of adulthood, having to step into the role of family man considerably sooner than he had anticipated. As he grows older, he is forced to shoulder responsibilities that most youngsters do not have to consider until much later in life. By the end of Spider-Man: No Way Home, Peter had arrived at this precise point. Peter is forced to fend for himself after losing his Aunt May and being forgotten by everyone in the world. He finds an apartment in New York City and works to acquire his GED. Peter Parker, who was only a high school student a few days ago, is now a full-fledged adult looking forward to a life that is both exhilarating and dangerous. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button so I can feel all mushy inside. Also, click the subscribe button while you are there, and then since you are on such a clicking roll, why not click on another awesome video that is already loaded up right here. You don't even have to watch it, just let the video play at 1% while you eat your sushi or something.